Hello, welcome back to another Warhammer Fantasy Battle Report. This is a bit of a special game. This is 2,600 points of my Wood Elves versus my Ogres. Thought this would be a bit exciting to do a game against myself. I try to do a bit of fun and a bit of smart moves on both sides. So I've got it set up here a little bit. We're playing Blood and Glory, which doesn't come into play at all throughout this whole thing. And I've got it set up like the foothills here are the ogres coming down out of the foothills and attacking into the forests of the wood elves. So protecting the hills are a couple of eagles and my outrider glade riders, which they're acting like scouts. They can get back and bring the message back to the bulk of the army, which is back there. And if you see just in the corner, there's a swamp, which is a mist form swamp or whatever. So of course the wood elves will try to get the ogres to run in there, because on a 1 or 2 or whatever, the whole model disappeared. And then the structure in the middle is a Sigmarite shrine. So, you know, it's falling down, but I played this like this is sort of the entrance to Athel Loren or something along those lines. And there's this old shrine from, you know, Empire God, etc., etc. And they are sitting there protecting it against the incursion of the ogres down from the mountains. So the main bulk of the army here, from the right flank left, is 12 dryads, a tree man out in front, a tree man ancient behind, a small unit of 10 archers, and my level 4 spellweaver. I have 5 war dancers just next to spellweaver. They're kind of acting as her vanguard and looking out for her. I have a slightly larger unit of 13 glade guard with the eternal banner of flame and my BSB in there. And in front of them is a unit of 12 dryads with the branch wraith, and both dryads have a branch nymph as well. It's just too good to pass up on. And 6 Treekin. In the woods here, you can see the glade guard scouts. They've scouted forward, but not much. They're just there to kind of see what's happening, be able to redirect. Here's the army looking forward at them. You can see this is pretty much the same army I've just played with in that tournament. Few little modifications. I think the Way Watchers are weak. I didn't want to play with like a specific army against these ogres, but I also wanted to mix up and play a little bit better version of the army I was playing against. So this is what is coming after them, is the ogres here. They're coming down out of the mountains. So I didn't set up all the way over into the forest. You'll see there's a few scouts out there, but they're coming down out of the mountains here and crashing into the wood elves. You can see I have a wood elf wild rider painted all in black. He's acting as the 3rd saber tusk, and I thought it would be pretty good. He's painted in black, looks like a bit of a traitor. So he's come out and he's led the ogres into the midst of the wood elf army. So the Iron Blaster actually turned around and went home, trundled back to the main force. This is kind of a scouting force, only 2,600 points, and I just didn't actually have an Iron Blaster in my list. And I placed them. I was so excited. I like the model so much. The Noblars, you can see here I have 4 lead belchers with fire belly just peeking out of the corner of the left side of the screen here. 6, they're not called, they're just ogres now, they're not bulls anymore, but 6 ogres, bulls, whatever, and my BSB. They also have a banner. You can't quite see my Iron Guts and my Slaughtermaster. 3 Mournfang, 3 Yetis. Here are the Noblar Trappers. There's the Iron Blaster before it turns and heads back to report to the rest of the general what's going on. Large unit of Iron Guts. I decided to go with 11 with my Slaughtermaster in there, and I thought they'd be kind of the beefy, like, heart of the unit. And Slaughtermaster is my general. One big mistake, I gave them the Dragonhide banner instead of putting the Dragonhide banner on the 3 Mournfang. I could not fit a 4th, which I usually take. And the 3 Mournfang have the Strider banner, which I think is pretty cool because they can go through anything without taking damage train checks, and I think that's pretty nifty actually. Although I do suffer from having an only leadership of 8. I clearly have 3 Yetis. I just love the Yeti models. I think it's really cool that, you know, when I'm attacking, I get -1 to hit, or when anybody else is attacking me, they get -1 to hit. And they're some of my best painted models and some of the first good Ogre models that I painted. So I'm always proud to take them and have them on board, and I just really like the unit. In behind these woods here are the Man-Eaters. So the Man-Eaters and the Yetis have kind of been in the front of the charge. I have 5 Man-Eaters with also the Banner of Eternal Flame, good to have against trees, and the 2 Saber-Tusks who have run out in front. And I put them far enough away so that they won't cause any panic tests should they be shot down. So, Ogres win, go first. And after Vanguard, the Glade Riders are up here. The Ogres basically move everything forward. They're a little bit stuck here trying to funnel through between the swamp and the impassable terrain of the shrine. And the lone Saber-Tusk / Wood Elf trader has come over to protect the flank, march block, etc. the Glade Riders. You can see the Ogre left flank, a Saber-Tusk is going into the forest. Everyone else just moves forward, not so much that they can be in charge range, but just close enough so that they're going to be able to threaten, get in the way of, and generally just make the Wood Elves think. I'm thinking that side is pretty beefy with the Mournfang and the Man-Eaters. The what are they called? The Yetis are just, they're mobile and they're pretty beefy too. I did give the Man-Eaters Vanguard and I forget what else, Strider maybe as well. So everyone can just move through everything. Shooting, I lose a Dryad, or it might have been a Fireball, I'm not positive. You can see the cats have moved way up here on this side, so they're coming around the flank. And that's pretty much it for turn 1 for the Ogres. Turn 1 for the Wood Elves, I move the Eagle up to flank the Gnoblars, just to affect that whole side of the flank. I move my Glade Riders a little bit closer, just within short range of the evil traitor. And rather than charge in and then get into the flank even of the Iron Guts unit, I just get destroyed, so I'm not even going to pretend to bother there. I fly my other Eagle up right into block these Lead Belchers. I know they're going to shoot out the Eagle. I'm not expecting the Eagle to survive, but that'll hold off a round of shooting at the Dryads and everything else, because you never know, but they can just be devastating. Plus, it bollockses up this whole area. I move the Dryads up with the Branch Wraith. It's got the Cluster of Radiance and Malevolence of Spites, and that just gives you plus D6 poison attacks every round. So that's a pretty beefy unit, and I move the Treekin up so they can go either way, but they're more going to try to focus on the Yetis, that kind of stuff. 2 tree men move up, the 2 units of Glade Guard move up parallel, and the War Dancer just hanged out there, ready to jump in front of and protect the BSB, the Spellweaver, etc., etc. In the distance, you can see the Dryads have climbed into the trees, and the 2 tree men are up there. Again, the tree man is forward of the tree man ancient. The Glade Guard scouts run right up next to this Saber-Tusk, hoping to shoot him, pick off his wounds. Mind you, I totally forget that I could tree sing that guy to death, which is a shame. I might have been out of range, but no, I wasn't actually. There's range now. So you can see them lining up their shots. They're angry, quite angry, and they're going to take out their ire on these guys. Here I cast Curse of Enter here on the Lead Belchers, and I get Whiston's Wild Form off on the Treekin, just in case there's a crazy charge or anything like that. I want to make sure that they're just buffed up and ready to go, or if they get shot at or anything, just make it a little bit tougher. +1 strength and toughness never hurts. So I shoot, I hit 3 times, and I wound twice against the Sabertusk, which is enough to kill him, so that is great. First round, some huge moral victory. The may not be worth a whole lot of points, all 21, but the Glade Riders have charged out there and shot down and killed. There you go. Bugling his victory here as the musician as they shoot down and kill the traitor elf who's running out there. And now I'm also kind of on this side ready. I can't really do a whole lot to directly damage these other units. I can take out the Noblars, but you know, focus on trying to just interfere with and slow down the units. From the other perspective, the Noblars, they don't move a whole lot, and I don't want to get them too confused, so they kind of end up just protecting that whole side, and they're trying to hold up the Glade Riders and the Eagle. So I shoot, I only get 1 wound on the Sabertusk. With my regular Glade Guard, I shoot, I wound a Yeti, take him down to 1 wound, which is great. And I'm just firing off shots whenever I can. It'd be really great if I could take out the Yetis, cause a panic check, get rid of them. To also shoot at they're the only thing I can reach, though. That's the one problem, having this huge impassable terrain on this side. There's a fair bit of terrain for a relatively small game, and it didn't look like it at the beginning, but it really affected how everything went. So in this picture, the Glade Guard Scouts were immediately in front of the middle Sabertusk, so the one in the foreground charges. They flee, which puts them still in line of sight of the other Sabertusk, who then is charging here, as you can see. Most likely will get away, but it's just causing stuff to run through all the lines. The Wood Elves are not worried about any panic checks. Everyone's immune to psychology over here. But it is just moving stuff around, and it's got 1 unit fleeing from 2 21-point units. So this is how it looks after the left flank for the Ogres charges. And clearly the Dryads are going to get to charge. They probably won't reach the Sabertusk. Will flee. Maybe comes back, maybe he doesn't. But it keeps the Dryads well out of combat for a turn or 2, which is huge. At the end of the charges, you can see where the Glade Guard Scouts ended up. They ended up all the way on the other flank, which is just pretty awesome, I guess. Why not? And this is what it looks like from the Ogre perspective. The 5 Man-Eaters have the left flank. They're coming in at the Treemen with the Flaming Banner. They should be able to do some damage. The Yetis are here, and the Mournfang behind. So, you know, with everybody's good movement, I can kind of split and dodge and weave and go all around. This flank's a little bit more ugly. I don't want to move through the swamp, because every movement phase through the swamp is a dangerous terrain. Like I said before, I could lose models. So rather than try to walk all the way around, I'm going to try to get through this cut as fast as I possibly can and kind of send wave after wave. And the hope is that I can break them down, mess them up, and get through there. I think I was a little bit slow in doing so, and perhaps I should have charged the Eagle and just made it happen. Got up there, but shooting at the Eagle, you know, I'm probably 3 inches further back than I would have been if I had charged and failed to charge. So the Noblars are turned to face the Eagle, and the Glade Riders out of range, but just keeps them from charging. In my magic phase with the Ogres, the Ogre magic phase that is, I believe I get a boosted Troll of Guts, I want to say. It's either +1 toughness, so it's Toothcracker, or +2, or 4+ regeneration, which is Troll Guts. But I get it boosted, I get it out there. You can see there's a wound on one of the Iron Guts. That's because I have Grut Sickle, and every round I do damage. So this is the Iron, the Lead Belcher shooting at the Eagle. This is the number of shots, the number of wounds. 19 shots, did a ton of wounds. Even with the Curse of Anra here, they just absolutely waste the Eagle, which is a shame, but that's what he's there for. And now they're back just a little bit. So Wood Elf turn 2. The Dryads here on the side go ahead and charge this Sabertusk, and of course Sabertusk is going to flee. No big deal. I have a brilliant plan to not charge the other Sabertusk and move up the two Treemen, the Treemen and the Treeman Ancient, and have the Saber-Tusk be blocking the Man-Eater charges, but I'll get into that in a second. And of course, the Saber-Tusk flees. The Dryads are chasing him. So here, my Treemen move up. This is just perfect. So I'm positioned such a way that they can't get, they're all on my flank, but they're not going to be able to flank charge the Treeman, thinking that this little guy's fleeing, that the Saber-Tusk is fleeing. I realize after the fact he's not, so I have to reposition. So I just put the two Treemen so they're in a line, and I tree-sing the Saber-Tusk to death. You know, I was hoping, I was thinking he was fleeing. If he was fleeing, they wouldn't be able to charge through the fleeing guy because the flea happened after the charge. It was brilliant, but wrong. Oh, so wrong. So this is what it looks like right before I reposition everything, and just give you an idea of what sort of the setup, the Treemen being charged looks like. The Treekin have turned to face the charge from the Yetis, and the Dryads have moved up, ready to take a charge or to charge into the Lead Belchers, and the Lead Belchers charge in turn 3. The archers move up so they can shoot through at the Yetis, and these guys rally. The scouts rally and just come up here, protected by the swamp, ready to shoot through. Not doing huge damage, but it's something. You know, it all counts for something. Little pinpricks poke you to death. On this flank, the Eagle moves around behind the Noblars, and the Glade Riders stay so they can be in the... They keep the Noblars in the front rank. I get Wissen's Wild Form off, and the reason it's back here is I did the boosted form thinking that I got all confused with my Ogre magic, thinking it gave +1/+1 to all units within 12 inches. It dawned on me after the fact that wasn't the case, so though I have it here, I put that on my Treeman Ancient, the general, so that he can survive the charge. And this is just a cool shot of the two units of Glade Guard just aiming down, shooting at the Man-Eaters, shooting at the Yetis. And I'm able to kill one Yeti, although they pass their rerollable 8. It's just awesome. I don't think anyone really failed a leadership check this round, which is it's always good. It's so demoralizing for the person, I find, to fail a leadership panic check and run away, or not rally. It's really annoying. I'm also able to do 2 wounds. So whenever you see a die, it shows how many wounds I have left in this game. But I do 2 wounds to Man-Eaters. It's just a cool picture. You can see the Mournfang looking absolutely gigantic and imposing in the background. They're bigger than the trees themselves. So I'm able to then, I think with a spell or something, I can't remember how, but I'm able to shoot or just damage in general the Man-Eaters. Oh, so Man-Eaters charge, that's what it is. During the beginning of their turn 3, I stand and shoot with 2 Treemen, and I do another wound. I kill a guy and put 1 more wound on. So what the Ogres do here is they charge the Man-Eaters and the Yetis into the true Treemen, and that'll clear out the path. They're immune to psychology, they can't flee, so they should make that charge, clear out the path, and then the Mournfang Cavalry will get into, they declare a charge and hope to get into the Treekin. So when I roll, everyone makes it. I do not roll any, what are they called, Ogre charges, so the Treemen are only taking 3 impact hits, which is great, and my Treeman Ancient's buffed up, and I'm not so certain about how it's going to go with the Treekin there. I didn't think of that when I set them there. The Saber-Tusk clearly runs further and ends up about 2 inches from the edge of the board. So I did fail 1 leadership check, sorry. And this is what it looks like when the Mournfang come barreling into this Treekin. And I just feel bad for the Treekin. There's only 6 of them, and they look so small. And I just don't know what they're going to do against 3d3 impact hits. Just absolutely annihilated. I mean, it's just waiting to happen. So the Treemen, they're forced to come together, in my understanding, to maximize the number of units in combat. And yeah, this is what this one looks like. So with flaming attacks, one impact hit gets through on the normal tree man and does 1 wound. And so as an overview, this is what the whole battlefield looks like. I decided not to charge with the lead belchers, thinking that's exactly what the wood elf general would want. Incredible insight there. And decide to kind of delay and shoot as much as I can. Although I do move up forward, and so I can get in there. I have a pretty successful magic phase where I get a lot of dice. I think I had 9 dice casting to 6, plus I do 1 more wound here. I've lost a guy to something, I can't remember what from, but this guy's down to 1 wound because I use Gret's sickle again, get a fireball off, doing 2 wounds to the dryads, just trying to whittle them down before they come in and attack. Cast the cascading fire shield, or whatever it's called, on the unit of lead belchers and the fire belly, just because that way when the dryads come in, they'll do this damage. And it just dawned on me, I totally forgot to use the fire belly's template weapon, breath weapon. It's unbelievable how hard it is to remember everything and get it all down. It's really just, you know, you're trying to get it done and not take forever, and it's just what happens. So the Yetis are here. They fill their fear check. That's what that little token's for. And there's the 1 wound that's doubled to 2, so 4 remaining wounds on the tree man. There's nobody to challenge, so the tree man ancient cannot challenge and get use the annoyance of netlings, but with +1 strength, +1 toughness. The 2 tree men together are able to, they don't take any more wounds. They're able to do 2 wounds to 1 Yeti and 2 wounds to a man-eater. And this is just unbelievable. So the Mournfang come in, and the Treekin absolutely destroy them. You know, I had Wiston's Wild Form, or so I thought, on them. Get them down to, they only lose 1 guy, and they kill 2 Mournfang. I realized, oh, they don't have Wiston, so I went all the way back, re-rolled everything, and they did this exact same thing. Just incredible. They just destroyed the Mournfang, just destroyed them. They run away, the banner, they lose, the banner breaks, and I get the banner. Just like that, done. So Wood Elf turn 3. These guys charge into the lead belchers, which is silly because I realized afterwards the lead belchers could not stand and shoot. The eagle charges into the rear of the Noblars. It was going to either be the eagle or the Glade Riders, and charged in the rear, so it's one or the other. And the Glade Riders move up right next to, like 1 inch away from the Iron Guts. That's something I took from Once Bitten, just making sure that they can't wheel and get around or do anything like that. They just hit them in the flank and can't actually wheel. Everyone else kind of moves forward. The Treekin have destroyed the banner. That's a little red token, captured banner. And they turn to face the lead belchers and the rest of the Ogre army. As do the archers. They turn face and move up. In the background, you can see now on the right flank here, you can see the Dryads turn to face the flank of the man-eaters. Hopefully, the 2 tree men will survive another round of attacks. The Dryads can come into the corner of the flank here and do some damage. So all in all, I'm feeling pretty solid about things. With the Wood Elves, I'm kind of surprised, especially with how the Treekin did. I just can't get over the fact they destroyed the Mournfang. Maybe the Mournfang should have the Dragonhide banner. I have a decent magic phase. I go to cast Wiston's Wild Form. I get Irresistible Force, roll a 7, kill 3 guys, and then I'm also so I put Wiston's onto these Dryads here, and that should protect them from the damage of the other, whatever it's called, the cascading flame shield or cage or whatever. I'm able to do a couple of wounds with the Amber Spear or something, or through shooting to these units. Just trying to whittle them down so when I get into that combat, I'll be able to handle a little bit easier. That's just so many guys. It's just hard to handle. So that's what I'm looking at here. And this is a close-up of the Glade Riders blocking the movement of the Iron Guts. the Eagles able to defeat the Gnoblars pretty easily. I thought I was going to be better, but I didn't realize that the Gnoblars were out of charge range, which is a shame. So I shoot all these shots. I hit with a ton, and I believe this is all my shots missing to wound, or it could be my attack rolls. I'm not really certain. But even with Wissons, I lose a couple guys here. This is to the Cascading Flame cage, and this is just a cool shot of the Treekin and the banner, the Eternal Flame banner, just protecting that Sigmarite shrine out in the middle. The War Dancer's a little blurry out here in the middle, and the Dryads are fighting it up with the unit of Lead Belchers there in the corner. So, combat here, and I kill one Yeti with the Treeman, and the Treeman entry kills the Yeti, and then the Treeman himself passes away. He gets hit twice with flaming attacks, and the Ogres win battle that time, and luckily Stubborn 9 roll, rerollable, keeps him in play. Part 2 is coming up shortly.